rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
Representative Cori Bush came out earlier this week and said today is the 9th anniversary of Mike Brown's killing. He would be alive today if the institutions of racism and white supremacy were eradicated. He should be alive today. We will never forget. We will continue to fight for justice and accountability. Well, let me speak to you directly, Representative Cori Bush. Black thugs are not black heroes. This is something that we have to keep in mind. This guy robbed a liquor store. He roughed up the owner. He handed his friends some of the stolen goods. Then he attacked Officer Darren Wilson in his vehicle, where Officer Darren Wilson shot him. He's also the reason why there was a Ferguson effect, and I believe more black young men were killed as a result of it because police started depolicing black communities or backing away from crime. This guy is a black thug. He's not a black hero. We're talking about it on the Carl Jackson Show podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show podcast. This is your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We would certainly appreciate that. We're on YouTube and Rumble. If you would subscribe, rate, and review us there, we would certainly appreciate that. Give us a 5. That'll help us get a little more exposure, and we certainly appreciate that. Also, man, I can't speak today. Also, all things social media at The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, Truth Social, and Getter. So if you're there, please find me there. I would certainly appreciate that. I try to respond to comments. Obviously, I can't respond to them all, but I enjoy looking at them when I have time and going through and just responding to them, or at the very least reading as many as I can, and I try to like them. So that is me. So if you follow me on social media, I would certainly appreciate that. And today's show is brought to you by MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell at MyPillow has built a fabulous company in MyPillow, and right now he has an offer that's a pretty amazing offer, actually. It is the queen size MyPillow that originally sells for $69.98 is now on sale for $19.98. All you have to do is go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square at the top of the page, and enter my name, Carl, in the promo code or as the promo code, and you'll be able to get that deal. Or if you prefer, give them a call at 800-858-0263. And there's even better news. There's actually there are deep discounts on all of MyPillow products. So if you use that promo code Carl, whether you go to MyPillow.com and click on that radio podcast square, or give them a call at 800-858-0263, 800-858-0263, and use my name, Carl, you can get deep discounts on all of their products. Whether it's my slippers, mattress toppers, dog beds, whatever it may be, whatever you've been considering or thinking about purchasing on MyPillow, now is the time to do it because it is on sale. All of the products come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. And what I love, honestly, you're helping it's an American business, American-made products, American manufacturing. I absolutely love that part of it. We need more American businesses. So support Mike Lindell, the patriot that he is, and MyPillow. Go take advantage of the deals. All right, guys, I wanted to talk about this because this issue with Michael Brown and this revisionist history. And this is one of those things. Sometimes I sit and think, man, why do we have to talk about this nonsense again? But we do because the left does. And they do because they want to pretend like America is systemically racist. So what I would like to do today is just I want to debunk the revisionist history, and we're going to have to keep doing this as long as the left keeps bringing it up. But I want to be emphatically clear. Michael Brown was a black thug. He is not a black hero. And we need to stop pretending like these thugs represent the best of the black community and like we should be looking up to them. We shouldn't. This is a guy, that young man that robbed a liquor store, bullied the store owner, left the store, attacked a cop, literally charged at him. There were witnesses that said he charged at the cop. They couldn't believe it. And then he dove into the cop's SUV, Officer Darren Wilson. Officer Darren Wilson shoots him in self-defense, and this guy becomes a hero. I would say this guy is responsible for more deaths of black young men, if we're being honest. So please don't give me this stuff that this guy is a black hero. He is not. He is a black thug, and that's what he was. I'm sad. I'm sad to report that, but he is, and we need to treat him as such, so that this racism, that the left stokes does not continue to spread. So again, let me just read what Representative Cori Bush had to say about this. And all of this is an attempt to perpetuate this narrative that America is systemically racist when it is not. And by the way, I'll bring you some of the news of the day as well. Don't want to skip out on that. So I'll bring you some stories here real quick if I can get into my laptop today. All right. So anyway, Cori Bush said, Representative Cori Bush, this is what she said. Today is the 9th anniversary of Mike Brown's killing. He would be alive today if the institutions of racism and white supremacy were eradicated. He should be alive today. We will never forget. We will continue to fight for justice and accountability. Well, what is justice and accountability? Frankly, I believe justice was served that day when Officer Darren Wilson popped a cap in him. And don't tell me you wouldn't do it if that were you, if the shoes were on the other foot. This is one of the frustrating things as well. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. And again, this is the 9th anniversary. Here's what you have to remember. Even Obama's DOJ looked into the case and concluded that there was no credible evidence to charge Officer Darren Wilson, that his story was that his story was correct. They couldn't disprove Darren Wilson's story that he shot Brown after Brown had first attacked him while he was seated in his police vehicle. And then the encounter happened after Wilson was called to the area to respond to Brown stealing from the liquor store. I want to play you this video. I want you to be reminded of the video. This is Michael Brown walking into the liquor store before he steals from the liquor store. He holds this guy is 6'5", 300 pounds nearly. All right. So then he grabs the liquor store owner by the neck, pushes him out, walks out of the store. And some of you might have forgotten this, but what happened was Michael Brown, the reason why the cop paid attention to him, or Officer Darren Wilson spotted him, because he was basically jaywalking. He came out acting all big and bad. He didn't know at that point in time, that he had just robbed a liquor store, essentially. He was walking in the middle of the street like he ruled the town. And the officer pulled him over. And that's when the confrontation ensued. So that's just a little bit of the details that some people are missing now. I'm looking to Daily Wire for re-reporting some of this. You had Dana Lash, nationally syndicated host, that chimed back in at Cori Bush. And she said he would be alive today if he had not chosen to steal from a convenience store, resulting in the owner calling police, resulting in police stopping him, at which point Brown chose, she puts in all caps, to attack a cop and try to take his gun, which Eric Holder's own DOJ concluded with its forensic report. Stop your shameful, which she puts in caps too, your shameful and racist rewrite of facts. And that's what this is. Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire wrote, this only goes to show how the left plays the long game. All right. The whole Michael Brown narrative has been definitively exposed as a hoax, but they will keep repeating it year after year after year until we get tired of correcting it and the truth is forgotten by history. And so this is something that we cannot do. We cannot relent on the truth. That's exactly what the left wants us to do. That's what they're aiming at. They have an incentive to keep this racial hustle, if you will, going, because it brings them votes. It brings the Democrat Party more power. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and roll this video here, Gabe. So here you see, this is Michael Brown entering. 6'5", 300 pounds. His friend in tow. This video is only a minute and a half long. Not like you're in and out of a store in a minute and a half, typically. I don't know anybody who's in and out of a store in a minute and a half. He goes right to the counter. What is he looking for? Stogies? Grabs him. Grabs over the counter. Hands it to his friend. So now his friend is an accomplice. Grabs some more. Reaches over the counter. Looks like he's perhaps talking to the owner or something. Or whomever is behind the counter.
Yeah.
Looks like he dropped some stuff. He's picking it up. Here's the owner coming out. Minority man trying to make a living in Ferguson, Missouri.
Just a tad back. I'm out of Chicago, yeah, but national. There they are. That's when
And there's Michael Brown shoving the owner out of the way. Putting that, literally grabbing his neck, throwing him out of the way. So essentially, that's where it ends. That's where it ends. There's been murals. All right, there's been murals. There's been everything else in honor of this black thug. And I'm sorry, because I know that's somebody's child. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this guy was a hero. Especially when I believe more people are dying because of him, or at least the narrative surrounding him. You guys recall the Ferguson effect? You guys remember what the Ferguson effect was? And basically, I mentioned it at the top of the podcast, but the Ferguson effect is essentially cops going into predominantly black and minority neighborhoods. And now, because of the riots and the persecution that Officer Darren Wilson received at the time, all the backlash that he received for defending his life, cops were like, I don't want to be, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be proactive when it comes to crime. This Ferguson effect, in my opinion, was a precursor of the defund the police movement with Black Lives Matter. You cops are bad. The black thugs are good. And I'm sorry, that's just complete and utter nonsense. How many more people, black young men or minorities, were killed, injured, raped, God forbid, simply because police are saying, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to lose my career. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to go to jail if somebody lies about me or paints me as a racist when I'm trying to defend my life. Michael Brown, literally, I remember when it first happened, and then this audio disappeared. There was a black guy that was literally right there, saw it, watched it, and you heard him say as the attack was going on, dang, he bum rushed or he charged the cop. Like Michael Brown was like a football player, they said. I mean, he literally bum rushed the cop. The cop shot at him while he was heading into his vehicle to attack him. He grabbed his gun. The cop shot him more. There was gunpowder on his hand, proving that Michael Brown tried to grab his gun. What would you do in that scenario? It's either you or him. What would you do? Yeah, I'd pop a cap in him too. And if you're being honest, you would as well. I think we have to be willing to correct the record. Otherwise, this nonsense continues to spread. And the left needs racism. The Democrat Party, they absolutely need racism in order for their party to continue to survive and to thrive, sadly. It's absolute nonsense. There's a poll that I want to read to you real quick, because I believe it is the intention of the Democrat Party to make sure America remains, or blacks continue to believe that America is systemically racist, that whites are racist. But it turns out more and more people believe that blacks are the ones that are more racist. And I believe this to be true too. Oh, Carl, you said, listen, man, I don't care. I just got to be real with you, man. It's like I have to worry about what God thinks about me, not about what you think about me. And it's true. It's true. There's a scripture in the Bible that says God removes your sins as far as the east is from the west. Yet when it comes to people, even people of faith that happen to be black or minority, it's, oh, America, yeah, is racist, or yeah, these, whites are even in the church. It's the sickest thing I think I've ever seen. It's as if the culture, and actually it has, some of these cultural movements have taken over the church instead of vice versa. They've been a bigger influence, these cultural movements have, than the church has. It's a really sad state of affairs. But this from Rasmussen's, Americans say blacks are more racist than whites, Hispanics, and Asians. So Americans believe blacks are more racist, again, than whites, Hispanics, and Asians. The poll shows that it was a national telephone and online survey found that 75% of American adults think the term racism refers to any discrimination by people of one race against another. So that's good news. All right. 75% of adults think the term racism basically applies to everyone. Just 15% say it refers only to discrimination by white people against minorities. These findings have changed little in surveys for the past several years. 18% say most Americans are racist, but 25% believe most Black Americans are racist. 15% think most Hispanic Americans are racist, while nearly as many, 13%, say the same of most Asian Americans. So these findings parallel surveying done in 2013, although Americans were even more likely at the time, the report says, to identify blacks as the most racist group. And I mean, you see that playing out today. It's gotten even worse. If you say anything, if you criticize a black person, oh, it must be because of my race. They've made us paranoid schizophrenics in the black community. It's phenomenal. Among adults who think racism refers only to discrimination by whites, 36% consider most white Americans racist versus 21% who feel that way about most Black Americans. 16% of these adults say most Hispanic Americans are racist. 19% feel most Asian Americans are racist. Among Americans who identify racism as any discrimination by people of one race against another, 15% say most whites in this country are racist, compared to 27% of blacks. 15% of these adults think most Hispanic Americans are racist, as are 13% of Asian Americans. But the sad news is I'm not sure that many in the black community care. Many do, but sadly, many don't. And this is what the Democrat Party feeds off of. They feed off of hate. They feed off of racism. Did you guys? I should have had you get that video, Gabe. But there was a black teacher that was online. I think it was a TikTok video. I watched it the other day, and she's from Texas, and she's a black supremacist. And she was so mad. She found out her sister was dating a white guy, and she said some very derogatory stuff online about the guy. And she also said that she would do anything possible to ruin that relationship, to break up that relationship. And I'm paraphrasing. And she even talked about getting her boyfriend to basically kill him. Now, it's insane. This is a teacher that is going in front of children, teaching your children. Thank God she was fired, and rightfully so. She won't be allowed to work in whatever district she was in. Frankly, she should not be able to work anywhere as a teacher. And I hope her face gets plastered enough where no one wants to hire her. That's what she actually deserves. All right, let me give you some news of the day. But again, I just think it's important to speak to this revisionist history. We have to be willing to correct it. Every time it pops up, we have to smash it in the head. We have to start embracing. What's it called? Confrontation or opposition. We have to start embracing it. And this is part of it. All right, let me just give you this news because, I mean, this is obviously sad news, and I'm not sure if the numbers have grown since, but the wildfires in Maui have killed 53 people. That was the latest. Let me make sure that news has not been updated. Let me just check Real Clear Politics real quick and see if they've got new numbers. But anyway, this was CBS reporting it. The death toll, again, at 53. So continue to pray, and wherever you can get in to fit in to help out, please do that. Biden continues to gloat about his economy. This despite the fact that inflation rates are up 3.2%. You got more Americans pulling out their 401ks in order to be able to survive and pay their bills. You got credit card debt that has reached over $1 trillion, meaning more and more Americans are living off of credit cards and using credit cards to stay afloat in this economy. And this guy continues to brag about that. It's absolute nonsense. it's so sad because I'm looking at this headline. Biden asked for $40 billion in additional Ukraine aid, and nobody wants to see that money go away anymore. And I was one, listen, at the beginning of this thing, I felt like we should have stopped Putin in the first place. I don't understand why there wasn't some type of deterrent put in place to stop him. Obviously, if we would have drilled for fuel, that would have stopped them because we could have used that as leverage, or if we would have continued. Joe Biden didn't do that. So he gave Putin the leverage. Putin decided to invade Ukraine again, knowing that they had a feckless person in the White House. And he did exactly that. And at this point, there seems to be no plan to win. I understand that it is wrong, it is immoral, it is completely evil for someone to attack another country. And I get that. But I don't see a plan. I just see money being spent. And I feel so bad for the Ukrainians because I don't want innocent people being killed. I also don't want innocent Russians being killed. So anyway, we got to bring this thing to a close. But I just, it's weird because I was going to skip over that, and I just decided not to. The U.S. Iran reached an agreement for release of 5 American prisoners. Iran placed 5 Iranian Americans on house arrest Thursday amid reports of a planned prisoner swap between Washington and Tehran. The two countries have reached an agreement to exchange the incarcerated Americans for several imprisoned Iranians, and for the U.S. to unfreeze Iran's access to about $6 billion in oil revenue. 4 of the Americans were transferred from Iran's notorious Evin prison on Thursday to a hotel in Tehran. Isn't it amazing how much leverage these people have now that Joe Biden is in office? I mean, just think about that. The world is going to hell with gasoline draws on with this guy in office. All right. And so now also you have this, oh man, forgive me. I forget his name. Ecuador in the state of emergency after presidential candidate is assassinated. I'm not sure if you guys heard this story, but it's tragic. Ecuador President Guillermo Lasso said he ordered soldiers into the streets to boost security after gunmen killed a presidential hopeful in a country hit hard by drug-fueled violence. That seems a little unnecessary. I'm not sure. Lasso on Thursday declared a 60-day nationwide state of emergency that will also curtail civil liberties. Of course they will, like freedom of movement and right to assembly. It takes force as several other candidates suspended their campaign following Wednesday's killing of Fernando Villavicencio, the first time a presidential hopeful has been assassinated in the country's history. I watched the video of that. You can't actually see the shooting, but it's so sad because people are skirmishing around afterwards. And it's sad. This is the state that we live in today. I think that's pretty much the last that I want to share with you. Oregon governor creates task force to clean up crumbling Portland. Listen, you're not going to clean up Portland. You guys heard what happened there the other day. Andy No literally took 2 of his attackers that beat him upside the head, basically with concrete-made shakes were allowed to be let go. He was suing the city, I believe it was, and suing them, and nothing. The jury just said, nope, screw it. Why? Because the defense attorney literally said, I am Antifa in the courtroom, and told the jury she was remembering all of their faces. So Antifa runs Portland now. So that's the way it's going in left-wing cities. All right, guys. So I just wanted to make sure that I brought this to you today. I just, it seems like such a simple story, but I think it's an important story. The revisionist history of the Ferguson thug, Michael Brown. I don't want it to continue to grow. I want it to be squashed. And we have to embrace opposition. We have to stand against the left. The left is trying to perpetuate this narrative that America is systemically racist, that all white people are evil. And the only way that we're going to be able to fight back against that is every time they come up with a new story or an old story that's revived like Michael Brown, we have to shoot it down. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. This has been your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. In a world of confusion and lies. So I appreciate you tuning in. I think I'll get into some of the campaigns next week as we draw nearer to the first debate. So we'll have to check. So please stay tuned and check that out. All right, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless.